Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. Scrappy's calling out everyone it seems over the last couple of days. After a few spicy words of Ben JoeDeceives yesterday, he's now doubled down against Doug Censor Martin we'll dive into in the coming minutes. But also big drama on the operator bundle side. We saw what happened with Nick Mercs the other day. Now Timthetatman, the other individual that was involved when those bundles came out, has now said his piece on the matter. Very interesting stuff. I wonder if Call of Duty is ever going to go near operator bundles for individuals ever again, and whether this rules out the possibility of a Scump one or makes it more likely in the near future. Very much intrigued to your perspective in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. So if you missed the story, this is what happened the other day. Nick Mercs, his bundle was removed after he made a statement on Twitter. Many people are saying that got mischaracterized, and fundamentally all of these organizations, they're just so hypocritical, right? Because you've got Call of Duty here talking about celebrating Pride, and that's the reason why they've removed Nick Mercs' bundle. He then talked about, he gave his response on this a couple of days ago now. I didn't cover it in detail at the time because there was no major developments, but I know there's been a lot of discussion about this on Twitter, especially due to the hypocrisy of these organizations, right? I'm not exactly sure where I saw this, but it was floating around Twitter that the Pride flag, calling card or whatever, right, in the game, this is available in most countries, but if you go to the Middle East version of the game, it's not there, right? So fundamentally, these companies, they say whatever they say, but what they really care about is the bottom line. And as a result of the way the marketing and PR team have dealt with this, many individuals have given their thoughts. Dr. Disrespect, I believe, just straight up uninstalled the game and said, I'm not playing it again until they reverse this decision. And, he's very much stood by Nick Mercs on this one. And then Timthetatman was caught in a bit of an interesting spot because, he doesn't necessarily want to go out and say, oh yeah, 100% stand by Nick and all his opinions and all this, because, people disagree on things. It is how it is. And maybe he doesn't want to exactly go down that route, but he's good friends with Nick Mercs. Like, he doesn't feel like he meant any harm by what he said. And now he has come out with this statement. When I saw this last night, I was like, wow, this is a seriously big statement to make, right? So Timthetatman says, at Nick Mercs, he's been my friend for years. We went into getting our COD operators together. It feels wrong for me to have mine and him no longer have his. In support of my friends, please remove the Timthetatman bundle at Call of Duty. So, man, this is quite the turn of events over the last few days. The Nick Mercs one getting gone. Now Timthetatman and other big creators are standing by him and saying, yeah, get mine out of the game as well. And this is, it's really interesting for Call of Duty because they've made their stance, they've made their opinion known. There's been lots of reaction from not even the Call of Duty one, like everyone's getting involved in this. Twitter's been out of control the last few days, and the fact that this tweet has 177,000 likes just goes to show this isn't just an issue that's being discussed in the Call of Duty world or even the gaming world in general. It's got much bigger than that. So yeah, Timthetatman is making his thoughts be known and is basically telling them, look, remove the bundle. I'm not having any money from it anymore. You're not having any money from it anymore. And fundamentally, they put it in the game because they can bank cash, right? And then when they thought, well, you know what, is this going to cause a negative PR repercussions to what Nick Mercs has said? So, maybe it's not going to be good for the bottom line, so let's remove that one. And then now Timthetatman saying, well, actually, if it's gone, get rid of mine as well, and you can make no money from it anymore. So I don't know what the contract says. I don't know if he can terminate the contract somehow rather than just tweeting out something like this. But it is quite incredible how, it's only been in the game for a few weeks now. There's already been some controversy around it to such an extent that both of the operator bundles might well get removed. What does the Call of Duty think about this, right? Will they say, you know what, let's not go near any of this stuff ever again? Like any individuals, thing is, like Fortnite have done this for years at this point. They've put like Ninja and other guys in the game and it's worked out well for both parties, and I still think it can be a very good feature of the game. And Scumpy's not a particularly controversial character. He doesn't get involved in dramas like this. Scump would be one of the ideal guys to have in the game, and Crim6, okay, maybe he's a bit more controversial, but other people, right, even like a Nachol or something, right, people that have been around Call of Duty for years, it would be cool to get something like this in the game. Whether, especially now Timthetatman said what he said, whether Call of Duty now thinks, you know what, this is too much of a PR risk, like we're not going to go near any of these individuals in the game itself, because I think if the Nick Mercs and Timthetatman one worked well, and that they had a lead time on that of a few months, they probably would have at some point said, you know what, yeah, let's put the Scump one in the game or something. Whether they wouldn't do that anyway, because it's possible, I suppose, the way they look at it, that Scump is known, I mean, he's known globally and especially within the Call of Duty space, but I guess Scump doesn't have that much of an audience that doesn't know about Call of Duty, if you know what I mean. Like, there's a lot of people that watch Timthetatman and Nick Mercs that I guess aren't super involved in Call of Duty, but watch those creators because they play other games, whereas everyone who follows Scump knows about COD, so is there that much to be gained by having Scump in the game? maybe not, but they can still sell copies of it. So anyway, I'm intrigued to your thoughts because the other day I was kind of torn on whether this would actually be good or bad for a Scump operator. Now I think it's probably more likely to be on the negative side, that they won't go try and touch it again, but maybe it should happen actually. So lots of drama still emerging on that one. I did also want to mention this for you guys. I thought was pretty interesting. So the CDL put this one out, asking COD pros who's the most underrated player in the league. So FaZe come up with the idea of Vickle, which I certainly think at the time, like at Major 5, Vickle did a great job. These guys from Florida say Envoy actually, Ghosty's in the mix as well, and Kismet, I think Kismet is actually a very good shout, to be honest, because Kismet has done a lot over the last few years. I think I mentioned the stat that he's been in, what, 4 of the last 8 event grand finals, which is, I think they've won 3 of them, New York. This is going back to the Pro-Am in the end of last year. They were in the finals at the Pro-Am, they were in the finals at Major 4, they were in the finals at Major 1 this year, and at Major 5 this year. So, and Kismet's been there, like, alongside Hydra all of those occasions. I think definitely deserves more flowers than he gets at times, because if you think of top SMGs, Kismet doesn't maybe immediately come to mind, but he's certainly got to be in the conversation. These guys from Rokkr mentioned JoeDeceives, which I think is a pretty interesting statement, just because we don't know what Guerrillas are going to plan to do next season, but JoeDeceives could be a guy they decide to build around, to be honest. And even, yeah, Kelly says Envoy as well. I think Envoy has definitely been somewhat underrated this year. I think at the start of the year he was probably fairly rated because he did a pretty good job, but maybe Envoy's fallen out of the conversation a little bit. And, you know, they mentioned Kenny on the other side of things as well. Kenny is such an X-Factor player that, yeah, if he turns up at the World Championship, they can potentially try and go back-to-back. Let's talk about what Scrappy's had to say then, because Scrappy comes at everyone right. We know that he's got beef with, well, maybe it's not always just pure beef, but sometimes it's beef with many individuals. We saw what he had to say yesterday about JoeDeceives and the comments that he made at the time there, but he also had some thoughts on Timthetatman because they played in the tournament earlier on. Scrappy's team, of course, with Slasher, TJ, and who was else? Capsule, right? They made the grand finals before losing in absolutely tragic fashion for them, as we discussed in yesterday's video, but they played Doug's team earlier on at the tourney, and Doug's team put up a pretty good fight here, but eventually they go down, and yeah, Scrappy has a few words for him, not particularly impressed with his ability with the AR, but also after getting traded, and then Doug actually fires a few extra shots. I'm not sure if Doug actually intended to shoot his body here, or if he was just, let's just say, making sure he's dead, because some players like Dashy, when they kill someone, they will almost always know how many bullets it takes to kill, and as soon as they've shot the final bullet they believe that it's going to kill the guy, they will just stop shooting and move on. Other players, when they kill someone, they just shoot an extra couple of bullets anyway, just to make sure if like one of them didn't connect, or if there's some sort of hit registration lag. I remember Gunless did this a lot during World War II. He would always almost deliberately overshoot, because you know sometimes you're playing COD and you think you've killed someone, you haven't, you turn away and they get you. Gunless would deliberately remove any risk of that by overshooting a couple of bullets. So I'm not sure Doug did that here, or whether Doug actually was shooting his body, but Scrappy like has his thoughts regardless.
Second teacher, come on our side.
Could go top, could be top.
Where you at?
He could be close dark, he could be close dark still. Yep, going top right now.
I don't know who that scout bomb was, but he literally missed.
Yeah, no, I don't know what he's shooting at. I can't take Doug serious than air. I actually can't take that serious. What did I just watch?
You guys have a joke? This guy's laying down back orange.
Bro, what are you doing? Doug, where's my game chat? Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Where is it? Hello, can you hear me? Yo, shitters, hello. Did you hear me?
I have that shit.
Let me make sure this shit's working.
Search and destroy. I have a trophy.
I bet.
I got a guy that averages 7 kills. Shoot my body.
I'm ready by the last.
So Scrappy isn't necessarily wrong on this one, right? Doug on the AR has always been a bit of a controversial feature. I think in Search and Destroy it's always a little bit different anyway, because it doesn't tend to matter so much what role you run in Search. You can pick him at AR, you can pick him at SMG, make it work depending on who rush route. We know Doug plants the bomb. Regardless, they go down in the series, Scrappy's team, it takes him down, and look, Scrap say like the guy averages 7 kills a map. In Search and Destroy, 7 kills a map is pretty decent going actually, but obviously in Respawns, that's where when Doug has potentially lacked at times. But yeah, it feels like that's going to be it pretty much for Doug Martin's year. He's now trending up for that pull-up challenge that he's going to try and complete over the next couple of months. Scrappy's still got a tournament to play going forwards at the World Championship. Wonder what the future is for Scrappy as well, just because he's been the standout player this season on the Toronto Ultra. You would well think that they're going to continue to build around that next year, but I do wonder because later today we're going to talk a bit about Rostermania and some of the predictions and rumours that have been going around as to what some teams might do. Hasn't been that much discussion on Toronto, really. They made the somewhat controversial change to drop Standy early on, largely because it seems the beef and the relationships with Scrappy weren't really going on particularly well at the time. So Standy was gone, Hicksy came in, a guy that Scrappy has good relations with, and they won an event right at Major 3. But since then, they haven't been quite the same, and they haven't quite had the slaying power either. I think they rely very heavily on CleanX to have great performances if they want to get over the line, and Scrappy's individual level has been pretty damn good. I mean, his numbers are very impressive. This is a comparison here that Freezy21 does on Reddit, which just compares Cellium and Scrap, and like in terms of damage and the other factors, who's winning, because overall the numbers between Cellium and Scrap, who kind of play in that flex role technically for their team, but they play rather different roles, to be honest, right? Like Scrappy's a very much more aggressive player than Cellium is, and that's how they play. So, you know, the KDs are going to go Cellium's way, but in terms of damage and hill time and potentially impact, you could say, probably goes Scrappy's way, in my opinion. Like first bloods, these other factors as well. Damage per 10 minutes in control is actually quite significant in Scrappy's favour here. So, you know, it's interesting debate. But he has been very good this season. I wonder what Toronto will think about doing next year, because they've been competitive. They were in that like top 4 range, but they haven't quite got to the level of like, you know, a FaZe or maybe even a Thieves or an OpTic or even a Subliners right now in terms of consistently making finals or winning tournaments. But maybe Champs will turn that around, because aBeZy believes they're going to win Champs. I know he said that last year and it didn't happen, but aBeZy has been pretty on the money this year, I will say, in terms of predictions for event winners. And also just to look at the prize pool breakdown for this tourney, $2.3 or $2.5 million total on the line, whatever this totals out to, but the winner gets $1 million between them, which is, you know, pretty significant. Obviously the organization takes some of that, but actually because it's in Vegas, I'm guessing the state taxes in Nevada are lower than they are in California. I think it would be impossible for them to be higher, that wouldn't it? Like, 'cause I think California is the highest. I know there's been a big talking point over the last several years from the likes of Crimsix that whenever they do champs in LA, they have to pay so much money of that already goes on taxes. Whereas if they did champs in Texas, or I'm guessing champs in Vegas is maybe not quite the same, but similar enough, you guys can let me know in the comments below, they will lose less of this money to taxes, which is, you know, the pros definitely will appreciate that. So very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. This is a funny video as well that came up from the CDL a while ago now. I think I even screenshotted this ages ago for you guys, when Huke goes through and puts his team of 4 together, and Shotzzy basically just forms the dynasty with Scump, Formal, Karma and Crimsix, and then Huke goes down a rather different route with Pluto, Pharaoh, rest in peace, and then builds out his team with, I think it's aBeZy, yeah, Ghosty, because he knows that aBeZy will always take down the OpTic guys, and then he closes out with Fear Assassin, an absolutely legendary name that Shotzzy has no idea who he is. But very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Yeah, definitely Scump, AW, for sure.
Influence, Pluto, MW2 national champion for the vibes.
Formal, IW for sure. Oh, well, my team's already stacked.
I'm going to get F3. You already know.
What game? What game?
Every game.
There we go.
It's different.
Wait, I'm thinking like I'm on the team too. I mean,
Nah.
Yeah.
We're not. We're
Yeah,
just
we're
like,
on the team. All
we're
right.
scouts.
Wait, all right. I got Damon then. What game
You
was
got
you
your
got?
OpTic Dynasty. Scott.
Yeah.
I know just who to pick to
Yeah?
take them down.
I
And
don't
now
know
I
who.
got Patrick Price, Ghost, to Black Ops 2.
Dude. I got.
You got Crimsix?
Yeah, go for it.
I got fucking Fear Assassin.
2.
You better watch out for him. That's all I gotta say.